What is going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade. Today we have episode, I believe, 4 of the channel and Cyberpunk 2077 related Q&A. I haven't done one of these in quite some time. I think it's been probably around 2-3 months since I did my last one. So I asked you guys some questions on my community page and you guys commented over 200 questions. So I cherry picked around 20 questions for you guys. So I'm gonna answer them and yeah, let's get right into it. Classic Crack 96K asks, why are people criticizing every aspect of a game, especially Cyberpunk? I think that's just the nature of people to critique things before they come out, to critique every little detail about their favorite games, about, games they're looking forward to. I think that's just natural. Some people are overly critical. Some people get, they get off on just being completely negative about things. And some people are just criticizing it for what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. I think if you're gonna critique something, you can do it in maybe a well-formulated, well-put-together way instead of just being, I hate this, I hate that. That doesn't really fly over. You're not gonna get heard if you kind of approach your critiques like that. But I think it's human nature to criticize things. That's why negative news sells. That's why drama shows exist. It's human nature, but we can still be excited. I'm still excited for Cyberpunk 2077 personally, so it doesn't really detract from me, and I know it doesn't detract the hype from you guys a lot of the time as well. So Bobby IMA asks, where are you going to take the channel after Cyberpunk, and will you do a gameplay or walkthrough videos in the future? Yeah, for sure, gameplay and walkthrough videos. We're going to do tips and tricks, guides. I'm really going to just try to break this game, try to put as many hours into the game as possible so I can get the best content out there for you guys. And where am I going to take the channel after Cyberpunk? I'm just going to keep it rolling with Cyberpunk. I really don't have too many interests in games other than CD Projekt Red titles. I know that sounds kind of weird. I'll play games from here and there. I'll maybe review a couple games that I'm into or playing at that time. I was going to do a Borderlands 3 review. I actually really enjoyed that game, so if you guys want content like that, I'll try to make videos like that every once in a while. But other than that, it's mostly going to be Cyberpunk, the genre, CD Projekt Red releases. I might stray into GTA territory a little bit, but not too much. In the character creation, is it possible to have a massive body type or become totally mechanical and replace every organ and stuff? In the character creator, we're not actually sure if you can have a massive body type or not. They've only showed the 2 body types so far. And in terms of replacing every organ, you won't be able to replace every organ. I'm going to put a Facebook message on screen here that shows you kind of what you can replace. I believe it's arms, legs, can't replace your head. I think it's nervous system and some biological systems within yourself. But other than that, I'm not quite sure. Again, I'll put the Facebook graphic on the screen so you guys can check that out. Someone asked CDPR this question, so that's what that graphic is correlated to. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure. Freddie Columbus asks, how do you feel about CDPR choosing to do all cutscenes and cinematics in first-person perspective only? Actually, there are third-person cutscenes, but it's mostly going to be first-person perspective. And I'm kind of on the fence about this. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the first things that I'm kind of iffy about when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077. I think if they do maybe a 70-30 split, I would be comfortable with that. 70% first person, 30% third person. But I feel like it's going to be a little bit tipped more in the favor of first person perspective. And I feel like, I don't know, I want to be, visually speaking, it has to be kind of exciting to look at all times. I feel like it would kind of get boring if you're in first person perspective the entire time. I can understand why they're doing it for immersion purposes or dialogue purposes. Dialogue sequences, that's fine first person, but I'd like to see third person cinematics at least happen from time to time to kind of break that up. So I'm not quite sure about how I feel about that right now. Again, we're gonna have to kind of experience it before I can fully make an assessment, but at the time being, I'm not overly sold on that. Alive Too Long asks, do you think Cyberpunk 2077 will raise the standard of what a game should be in the future? I hope so. I think games are going more towards open world design, which I kind of like. You get the best experience in a single player game when it has a more open design. I don't like being funneled through little pads and stuff like that. There are some exceptions, of course, but I hope it raises the standard of the narrative, the open world design, the amount of detail put into a game, and the kind of innovative worlds that people are creating with their video games. NZCheekyDarky asks, what life path are you going to choose? I'll eventually play them all, but at first, Street Kid. Yeah, same with me. I'll eventually play them all. Even though I think I align more personally with Nomads, I just find the Street Kid rising from the slums kind of a more interesting concept than scavenging stuff in the Badlands. Also, I think corporate is super interesting to me. I don't align personally with my own morals with corporates at all, but I find that is going to be potentially the most interesting one. But it's not really a standard cyberpunk story where you're rising from being a cyberpunk to you know, getting more notoriety. So I think Street Kid, I'll do that first, then I'll do corporate, then I will do Nomad. Moses Douglas asks, what's your overall main concern about 2077 and what other games do you play? My overall main concern about 2077 is that, this is going to sound a little bit shallow, but I don't want the graphics to be downgraded. I want this world to run at its full graphical fidelity. I want to experience it in, you know, these beautiful clean cut textures and lighting engine. I want that all to be running on all cylinders. I know I'm kind of probably in the minority when I say that, but yeah, I don't want to downgrade Fiasco again. What other games do I play? I play a lot of Overwatch. Let me check my dashboard here. I play Witcher a lot. Not a lot, but from time to time. I've been playing the Modern Warfare beta this weekend. I play Apex from time to time. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3, but I don't really spend too much time in games these days. I'm kind of just waiting for Cyberpunk 2077. These are kind of more time passes when I have, you know, an hour or two to kill. But yeah, those are the main ones. I've probably spent the most time in Overwatch so far, by far. Angry Blonde Kid asks, sup bro, who is your Overwatch main? I'm a flex player, so I play pretty much everything. I like to play Zarya, I like to play Genji, I like to play Ana a lot, and Zenyatta. I like to play pretty much everything, to be honest with you, so I play everything except like Brig. Brig is boring. Gig asks, you're in a fight with Johnny, what do you do? Stop, drop, and roll. L.J. Turner, any tips for getting to sleep at night? Stop using your devices maybe an hour before you go to bed. Dim your lights if you have a light dimmer in your house, because, I don't know, that just works. And maybe read something boring, read a textbook or something. And there's also melatonin. Rapture asks, how deep do you think we'll be able to involve ourselves in corporate life and society? I don't think that deep, to be honest, unless you pick the corporate life path or you end up moving towards the more corporate life path. I think this story is going to be a lot more to do with rising to riches, but for the most part being kind of that, you know, suppressed individual who has to fight their way, claw their way to get anything in this world. So I don't think corporate life will come too easy to you. I think you'll obviously be exposed to corporates a lot and have to rebel against them or whatnot, but I don't think we're going to spend too much time in the corporate environment. Captain Bear asks, what do you personally hope to get out of Cyberpunk? Pretty much what I got out of The Witcher, but with, you know, some great gameplay mechanics to go along with that story and that world. That's really all Cyberpunk 2077 needs to do. It needs to tell a story as well as The Witcher 3 did, and it needs to have gameplay that is better than what The Witcher offered, or more diverse than what Witcher offered, and it's smooth sailing from there as far as I'm concerned. Wmmcomrmick13 asks, can you talk about recent news of how GameStop might cancel pre-orders of the collector's edition? Yeah, so if you guys pre-ordered your CEs a little bit late, they tend to kind of overcompensate for their stock. And so if you did order your collector's edition, maybe I want to say a day or two after it was announced at E3 or when it was released in your region, whenever that was, I would look into wherever you got that pre-ordered from, because there's potential that they might cancel it, because as you guys know, the CEs for CDPR are very limited. They're not doing restocks as far as I know, so I would double check with whoever you pre-ordered from to just make sure that you're going to get that on time, and if you're going to get it at all. All Might asks, are you going to announce any special merch upon the release of Cyberpunk 2077? Maybe not upon the release of Cyberpunk 2077, but I have been working on some additional merch ideas. My brain is always ticking with ideas that I can have of cool stuff. So yeah, there's gonna be some new merch coming out. I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon, but I already have one design drawn up for that. So keep an eye out for that, and it should be good. Overlord580 asks, will you play the next Witcher game? Of course, I love the Witcher games. I'm actually really looking forward to whatever they do with the Witcher franchise, just as much as Cyberpunk. Robert Potter asks, what do you think is the difference between listening to fans versus pandering? There's a big difference. I think anytime a developer makes a choice, it's going to be called out for pandering regardless if it is or not, especially if it has to do with controversial issues. Let me give you guys an example. If you guys remember the Mix It Up ad, there was a lot of controversy surrounding that because of, again, gender issues. They didn't change it. They didn't change that ad at all. They didn't pander, quote unquote pander, to people who were outraged of that ad. They kept it, right? So just because they changed the character creator to reflect body types versus just strictly gender, all at the same time you can still pick a male or female character, I don't think that's pandering. That's going along with their vision that fits more with the world. They didn't change the Mix It Up ad, but no one was saying that they weren't pandering there, so I think people are just going to call it pandering regardless of what they do, again, especially if there's some controversial elements attached to it. DarthCigar asks, what is the first thing you're going to do in the game after release? Explore. Just walk around, explore, see what I can get away with. If I can, you know, pop a few shots in the air when there's a crowd around and how they're going to react, checking out the side quests, checking out the street stories and the contracts, just immersing myself in the world and getting right into the side quests and the main story and just unveiling this world. Preston Dortch asks, what kind of PC video audio upgrades are you going to get when it gets closer to release? I'm not actually sure. I'm going to wait, obviously, until closer to release, like you said, but I want to really experience this in the way that it's supposed to be experienced. Right now I have a 1060 3GB with a Ryzen 1600. I'm not sure if that's going to cut it for the amount of content that I want to create, for the fidelity of content I want to create, for the way I want to experience the game. So I'm definitely going to try to splurge, but again, I'm kind of a penny pincher, so we're going to push it as far as we can. I don't really spend my money on other stuff. Me and my girlfriend go out to eat every once in a while. I spend money on gas. I don't really buy clothes all that often, so I think I can justify an upgrade. So we're gonna wait for potentially cards and new processors and see what's good when the time comes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. If you guys would like to see more Q&As, drop a comment, let me know. We can definitely incorporate that more into the mix since we are at a lull when it comes to news. So thank you guys so much for watching, and for anything and everything Cyberpunk 2077, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.